sorry for PS making you to stand. You didn't need to, unless it was part of the health break. I haven't reached the status of being stood for. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of my friend Harriet Chigai, who is the President's advisor on women's rights, the PS Roads, the PS Transport, the PS MSME, the Director Generals who are here, the chairs of the various boards, the consulting engineers, contractors who are here, and all the distinguished guests. Good morning. Good morning. You actually don't have the advantage of being on this other side. You look very beautiful. Very, very beautiful. In fact, I think this is how government meetings should be. I actually wish all the meetings were like this, because those who work with me at the ministry headquarters know that I have consistently complained that every time I call for a meeting, it's like a men's club. And I remember in one of the cabinet meetings, I spoke about my ministry and how it is poorly represented. It has a poor representation of women. And the women CSs were so surprised. I was also surprised myself why they were surprised. Because I think there is a feeling that if it is us, the men, we don't notice that we have a problem with the question of gender representation in our ministries. I know I have a speech which is written, but I'll try to speak from my heart. First of all, Harriet, apart from Professor Kindiki being happy, I am sure my professor of law, Professor Kameri Mbote, I think the first female professor from this country of law, will also be very proud of us, because a few years ago, she took me through a course in a class called Women in the Legal Process. And that subject was extremely important because it used to be controversial. In class, the debate was always whether there is a problem with the law or the problem with the society when it comes to the question of gender and women representation. I am glad that we are having this conference, because this conference is happening as a result of a conversation we had with Honorable Harriet in my office over a cup of tea. And the question was, what can we do to make sure that there is better conversation in the country in this sector that is perceived to be male-dominated? And it didn't take 1 hour for us to decide. It was rather obvious that we agreed that there must be a conversation in this sector. And I immediately called the people I work with, and I told them, you work with the Office of the Women Rights Advisor, and we put together this team. Now, before I say much, I want to say this. If you feel you are not represented in this auditorium, and you feel your ministry, your department, your agency, your company, your organization is not represented in this auditorium, all the blame goes to me. All the blame, 100% goes to me. Because maybe I would have thought better, planned better. But let me say this. They say, if you don't wish to make mistakes, do nothing. Do absolutely nothing. We are happy to have made this mistake today because this is an inaugural meeting. The unfortunate issue that we don't have other agencies, other departments, is as a result of doing this and making sure that it happens as fast as possible. Therefore, my assurance is this. including my sister Susan, that you had to be called this morning. We are sorry for that. It's because the people we gave the responsibility to do so perhaps had an oversight. But I have no doubt in my mind that they wrote a letter to your office, because I saw the letter. Maybe it didn't. But the point is made that we will correct this as we move forward. History records that Ms. Emily Roebling was the first documented woman in construction when in 1872, after her husband fell ill, she took over as a representative of his position of chief engineer to oversee the completion of the Brooklyn Bridge in New York City. Since then, more and more women have been registered as project managers, quality control managers, engineers, site supervisors, and designers, among others, in construction subsector, both in Kenya and elsewhere in the world. The gains we are currently experiencing in the construction industry are as a result of immense contribution of women and the injection of their expertise, experience, and technical know-how in the various disciplines in the sector. You know that the person who supervised the expressway, for those of you who do not know, is Engineer Julia, who is here. And there are many other women who have done fantastic job, engineers, architects in various construction sites in the country. Today, we gather to celebrate these women and to discuss and deliberate on the key challenges they face and mitigating factors that will level the playing ground for all. According to 2022 report by DALBA and the International Development Research Center, only 3% of artisans are women, while a paltry 7.3% of engineers registered by the Engineers Board of Kenya and 15.5% of contractors and 17% of registered quantity surveyors are women. It is also interesting to note that all the construction workers, only 18.7% have undergone formal training, while 81.3% acquired their skills through on-job training, according to the 2015 report by the National Construction Authority. To review the status of this sector and to make it more accommodating for women, my ministry, in collaboration with the Office of the Advisor to the President on Women's Rights, have the pleasure of inaugurating this year's Women in Construction Forum under the theme Female Lead, Female Built, Female Powered. This event, you can clap. This event brings together women developers, contractors, and all associates in the construction sector with the aim of promoting, recognizing, and advancing their role in industry in line with the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. Maybe I should pause there and ask, how many women contractors are here? I see by show of hands. You don't need to stand. Yes. Maybe you should stand, actually. Yeah, if you don't mind. How many women contractors? This is very, very impressive. Please be seated. Thank you. Thank you very much. The forum is also a recognition of the immeasurable opportunities in the construction industry, be it in the construction of roads, ports and airports, houses, dams, etc., which women should tap into a way of scaling up the economic ladder. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the government recognizes the importance of diversity in the workplace, and the increased representation of women is seen to greatly benefit the industry and the economy at large. It is in fact a challenge to all of us that we cannot pretend to want to build this country when more than 50% of the population has only a 3% representation in the most important sector of construction. It's a shame that to have a population that is more than 50% of the country is merely less than 10% in all the sectors that are extremely important for the construction of the country. We are committed to working with men and women in both private and public sector to attain gender equity in the workplace, promote women empowerment and their development in driving up the economic agenda. In this regard, the government, through its various MDAs, has adopted a gender mainstreaming policy to ensure that issues such as gender-based discrimination and gender-specific workplace needs are firmly addressed. The policy also calls for adherence to a one-third gender rule within its human resource recruitment practice, which is expected to reflect across all the cadres of the office holders. You must have been embarrassed to see that all the DGs here are men. Yeah? Don't fear them. They will not deny you contracts. Just say yes. Yeah? I was also embarrassed when I joined the ministry and realized that it's not just the DGs. The top management of this ministry, called roads and transport, is a male-dominated area. In all the roads agencies, since inception, we've never had a female DG. In fact, I dare say we've never had a female deputy technical person, an engineer. It is my responsibility to make sure that in the next few years, God willing, in this ministry, that I help us attain a situation where if we don't have the DG, at least the deputy DG who is a lady. In Kera, for example, Kenya Rural Roads Authority, we have the position of a regional manager is a very senior position. That is the same level as a deputy director, right? It's a deputy director. Out of 47 regional managers, engineers, there are only 2 women. One, I think, is Makueni, or is it Kitui? Makueni, and another in Isiolo. The rest, I think they are almost 47. They are 47. We only have 2 ladies. I have told Kera board and the management that in the next 3 years, that number must go beyond 10 engineers. Must go beyond 10 engineers. We have a similar situation in Kenya, and again, it is my duty, and I've spoken to the chair. She's a lady, and I believe I will convince the president to make sure that, and let me help convince publicly, so that he's under pressure, like I'm under pressure, that the next chair of Kera, after Professor finishes his term, should be a lady, and in the same manner, the next chair of Kura should be a lady for the time being, to make sure that we make this sector. And I've no struggle convincing the president, because he's the driver of this agenda. So it's extremely easy for me to make this case, to make sure that the next 2 chairs. The same situation persists in Kenya and Kura, and we are going to make sure that we promote more women, technical women, the engineers, to take up very critical positions. I know it is not just the roads department that I should be talking about engineers. My colleague Alice Waume presides over a sector that has many engineers in the water sector. I do not need to convince Alice to do. She knows what to do because she comes from that sector. And it's not obvious that when you are a woman, you support women. But it's also obvious that for Alice, who has been in the struggle, she knows what to do. And the same way, P.S. Daga, you have a duty to do in the transport department. Thank you, P.S. To make sure that in KPA, in KA, in Kenya Railway, and I know there's some vacancies in KA and Kenya Railway, and in Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, that women and technically qualified women occupy their rightful place in these positions. It will then become extremely easy for us to make decisions that we need to make so that then we make this representation achieved. I believe that perhaps the next minister after me for roads and transport will be a woman. But please don't chase me, give me some time. We know that we have also responsibility to make the workplace, the working environment friendly for women. Friendly for women. And two things must happen. One, women must compete, have fair competing environment for positions. We are not saying you pick unqualified women. That's a lie. There are enough qualified women. As an immediate former lecturer in the university, I see women are doing better, and they were doing better. And I'm not saying that because Mercy, the chair of National Construction Authority, was my student, and she was a very bright student. But it's because it's the truth. If you look at the statistics, you will realize that women are doing better in the university. It must translate in the workplace that they must get their good working environment. What do we need to do? We need to deal with the barriers. And the first barrier is factors related to sexual harassment. I know you don't want to speak about that. That women have to go through pressure to be promoted in workplace. You know, they have to get opportunities in workplace. We must make the environment friendly for women to report all cases of sexual harassment in the workplace. And I'm saying this with utmost respect. I saw a documentary yesterday in one of the media houses of what women go through in athletics. And that is the same for women in the workplace. The policy, your gender ministry and the office of my friend Harriet should work towards making sure that policy is put in place. Number two is to make sure that the institutions of national construction, in line with global practices and relevant legislation, establish good working environment for women, which includes mothers' rooms with their premises to provide a private, hygiene, and fully equipped space for breastfeeding mothers to attend to their needs and continue growing in their career as they move forward. I hope engineers here, now that you have this beautiful auditorium, I didn't ask you, I hope there is a breastfeeding corner for the women engineers and workers in this environment to be happy to come here with their helps and breastfeed their children if they have to come back to work in good time. If it's not there, let's do something about it. The government is also working to ensure conformity to the 30% access to government procurement opportunities, ACPO, requirement for youth, women and persons with disability as an affirmative action targeting the special groups. Let me say this, just 1 minute. One, it is not enough, Mr. Ketch, it is not enough to have women registered and be ACPO. My ministry, and I'm sure the agencies have told them, must give contracts to women who are women. You know, we know that there are men who have registered companies as women companies. Now, in law, we say you must lift the veil. We must not only just award contracts on paper, we must also have an interaction with the contractors and know them and know who they are. So that we have so many. The other day, let me say this, the other day somebody came to my office and said, oh, you know, as you know, they come. So it's no need to pretend here because we are in public. So they come and said, you know, I need your support. You know, I have a company. I want to do some construction. I said, okay, fine. We support all contractors. He told me, but the good news is that my company is ACPO. So I told him, but you are over 50 years and you are a man. There can never be an ACPO for an over 50 years. But he said, don't worry. The company I have, I put my sister. My sister is a director. Oh, I said, okay, so what does your sister do? He told me, she's studying abroad. Don't worry about that. She's working there abroad. I want the DGs who are here to make sure that all the contractors who are given work, you can see the face of the people who are working there, and you know they are women and who are doing their work as women. The other thing is that you must also make it possible for these women to do the real work. We were speaking with Engineer Jane earlier when we were taking tea. Yeah? Thank you very much, Engineer. I love your passion and energy, including when you ran here. It resonates from your... We were speaking and we were saying, we do not want our companies to say they have qualified to give contractors, to give women contracts, but the contracts they have given women is supply of tissue paper, pens, and stationery. We want women to be given real work to construct bridges, to do roads, to maintain roads. Are we together? And we don't want also women to be given roads in the periphery. That all because a woman, give her some small maintenance of 10 million and give her to go and do somewhere in Wajir and ati ajifunzie afanye kidogo, and then we say we are ACPO. Let me say this. The unfortunate thing is that when women are bidding for work and there's a women company, there's always this attitude that the most important road, the most stronger road, the most visible road should be given to a man, and the ones in Vichoro should be given to a woman. You know the situation, the big story that happened with the Mombasa Road contracts, which was awarded by Kenya, and I want to congratulate Kenya, they're doing a very good job. When they awarded the maintenance of the A8, the lower side of the lower deck of the expressway, one of the companies was a woman-run company. And so because she was awarded a company to maintain a very visible national road in Nairobi, including many people, including the media, particularly the media, went to start a campaign and said, oh, you know, certain lady was given work, a very important road, and probably she was given this road because of the husband, because the husband was a politician. Women have to suffer double. If your husband is a politician, she is okay to get work as herself, but if you get it, it's because of your husband. And nobody cared to dig the facts. Nobody even bothered to go for the facts, to ask themselves, when was this company registered? And for the first time, I'm sorry, I had to ask the DG, and this company, when was it registered? It tells me it was registered in 2009. How much work has it done between 2009 up to now? A lot of work. How does she complete her work? Yes, on time. Okay. I asked, when did the husband become a member of parliament? 2017, which is almost 9 years after the company has grown. But because it sells, for every woman who is here to be given an award to be a contractor, either she's a boyfriend of the DG, she's a girlfriend of the DG, the girlfriend of the minister, she knows somebody in high office. But when men get it, they don't say she's the boyfriend of the procurement officer. You know? This level of discrimination against the women must stop. Let women compete like every other person.